Forum for Bill's last meeting.
I was going to say, it's Bill's last meeting.
Yeah. All right. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum. This is Bill Austin's final advisory board meeting tonight. So, and we have a WVU baseball game tonight. So we're going to be on point. So appreciate everyone's attention, and hopefully we'll get a chance later on to wish Bill well into the land of the retirees.
Yes.
So, all right, first thing on the agenda is public comment. Do we have anyone from the public who wishes to comment online or? Seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Your packets should have included the minutes. Hopefully you had a chance to review them.
I move or approve.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, carried. Committee reports. We have the Citizens Advisory Committee, and we have our chair here.
Yes, good evening. Christian Abiltzo, Chair of the Citizens Advisory Committee. I met on May 14th. So in your packets, I think things we went through that we had a quorum finally, getting everybody together, but recommended approval of the TIP amendments, administrative adjustments, recommended approval of the RFQ for the on-call consultant, and recommended to accept the results of the report for the prioritization of downtown microsimulation study projects. Those were all the things on the agenda, and also had a motion for an official expression of gratitude for Mr. Austin and all the work he's done with us and many constituent groups throughout the county to blend it all into a wonderful transportation plan and all the great work he's done over the years. So I appreciate that personally as well. So that's what we talked about. Any questions?
Great.
Wait, what were the great things you said about Bill in the meeting?
I was starting to say great things, then somebody cut me off and said, let's just have an official expression of gratitude. So I appreciate the question.
All right, thanks so much.
Yep,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Glad you got a quorum.
That was a well-paid advertisement. Thank you, Chris.
Product placement.
Fantastic. Next on our agenda is the finance report.
All right, thank you. Our beginning balance for March was $59,467.60. Two deposits that month totaling $29,514.21. 22 disbursements totaling $29,244.33, leaving us an ending balance of March to carry into April of $59,737.48. Three deposits in April totaling $78,941.10, 22 disbursements totaling $103,116.63, with an ending balance in April of $35,561.95. And I want to thank you personally for being so patient with me, because I know I'm OCD
You do.
about finances.
You keep me in line, and I appreciate it. So.
I would move
Thank you.
to accept the finance report as presented.
Second.
All right.
He's getting better.
Did I hear a second or not?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. It's been moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We accept the finance report. Thank you. Next is our executive director's report.
Well, thank you all very much. I do want to note that the deposits that Mayor Lewis noted included $50,000 from the MPO's line of credit. That is because we're having to pay the consultants for the ongoing complete street study associated with the Greenbelt. That is a 100% reimbursable project, but we wanted to get it rounded out and finished by the end of this fiscal year, because it's an unusual grant. It's 100% federal funding. And spilling over into another fiscal year would be annoying. I think it could be done, but it's easier just to get it done, and it's not that big a project that the consultants can't get it done. So we took an advance from our line of credit to do that, and the cost in comparison to the amount of money is actually minimal to the policy board. I did want to make a note about that. And I will say that we, and this agenda I think reflects it, are looking to wrap up a bunch of projects and hope to leave my successor with a pretty clean slate to work with, and that person will have a wonderful board to work with. So we want to have a good start to that. So we're very excited about that. I will let you know and promote. We will be hosting the statewide planning conference June 2nd through 4th here at the waterfront with DOH, with West Virginia LTAP, Ronak and his group. Right now we have about 140 people, including the consultants who are sponsors for the project. So it should be a very nice and good conference. We're working also with the rail trail folks. Ella has been great, and there will be a bike ride down the rail trail going basically from Point Marion back to the hotel at the conference. So I think they had 15 slots, of which 6 are spoken for, and the chairman of West Virginia Association of MPOs, who's Chris Childs out of the Kiowa MPO, he's the executive director of their regional council, as recruiting additional attendees for the bike ride. So it should be a fun and exciting event, and that'll be good. Immediately after that, I will be going on that Friday to Tulsa, a little visit there, but also participating in the National Association of Regional Councils conference there. There is a seminar on maintaining funding for MPOs, and I'm representing the small MPOs and discussing all the issues that come about with funding there, since I've worked at a couple of small MPOs. So I will be in Tulsa from that Friday and get back the next Wednesday. And after that, I will have short-termers disease, and will be in the office intermittently because I will be also trying to burn vacation. But that's our current game plan. All I can do is thank the board for this opportunity. That's my report.
Well, we thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
very much.
Thanks, Bill. And I think quite fitting that you get to host the statewide planning meeting and a chance to participate in the national session as a nice wrap up to your career. So.
Well, and also at the conference, our staff will be presenting on the transportation plan update that we did internally, that the board just adopted. So that'll be a good, interesting presentation.
Excellent, excellent. Fantastic. All right, well, thanks so much. Next on the agenda, we have the TIP amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We only have 2 TIP amendments, and one of them is really strictly administrative for the benefit of the Division of Highways and the Federal Highway Administration, and that's moving some funds around for the Chaplain Hill Gateway Project, Phase 2. It involves the mega grant funding, the federal funding 31 million, total funding 135 million, and the project is I-79 exit 155. The other project to be amended in is the use of the MPO's suballocated funds. These are carbon reduction program funds for a design study for the intersection of Point Marion Road and Stewartstown Road, which the policy board agreed that we should apply our funds for this purpose. This will be getting the project from initial concept all the way through public involvement and essentially accomplish the vast majority of tasks needed for the NEPA process for the improvement of that intersection. And that's a total of $1.2 million in 100% federal funding. So the TTAC and the CAC have both reviewed these TIP amendments and unanimously recommended approval.
All right, entertain a motion.
So move.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and accepted to accept the TIP amendments. All those in favor? Opposed? All right. Thank you, passed. Next, another good wrap-up item, on-call consultant selection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Policy Board approved the release of the RFQ for renewing our on-call consultant contracts. We received 4 applications, submittals for proposals. The review committee consisted of myself, let's see, who was it? Amy Davis with the city. I'm drawing a blank on the whole committee, but it was 4 people. And the 3 of the consulting firms scored very highly within each other, with very near to each other. The highest score was 295, and the next highest scores were 290. The 2 second, third place finishers were within 1/10 of a point of each other. In discussing it with the committee, it was, I'm sorry, Ms. Frangola was also from Mountain Line, was part of the committee. The consensus was we put in the RFQ that we could have up to 3 consultants on our on-call contract to pull in work. It was a consensus of the committee that the proposals were so good from the 3 firms that scored well that we would have a contract with each of the 3 firms. And so we can actually release a project and have them bid and consider price since they're already qualified firms as proposals. And the firms are HDR, AECOM, and Kimley Horn. And AECOM and Kimley Horn were on our previous contract and both performed very well. And we have worked with HDR. You may have recalled we had them do the I-79 access study where we were looking at potential new bridges across the Mon. They've also been working on both the Exit 155 project and the Harmony Grove Interchange project. So they're very familiar with our area, and we also have a good rapport with them, and they understand our area. So that is the recommendation of the committee, is to enter into all consulting contracts with all 3 of the firms.
Any questions? All right, take a motion to accept the 3 on-call consultants.
Move to accept.
Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we now have 3 firms that we can hopefully select based on their key strengths for the project. So, very good. All right.
Okay.
Next on the agenda is evaluation of the downtown micro simulation study projects.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This project was an in-house study done by staff using the microsimulation software developed for the downtown microsimulation study. And the purpose of the study was to evaluate projects which the policy board had put in as tier 3 projects because we weren't sure of where they would fit into as we were looking at implementing the Grumbines Island project and also other improvements. When we did the study, we included the 8th Street roundabout and the Snyder Street. No, I'm sorry, not the 8th Street roundabout. We included the traffic optimization, the traffic signals optimization project, which is already a tier 1 project, and we included the Snyder Street extension project for Willie Street as having been done. We took the other projects that we had put as a tier 3 project and evaluated how they would impact the implementation of the closure of Grumbines Island to determine which projects were ultimately necessary if it were the decision of DOH and the MPO and everybody to close Grumbines Island. So basically, if that decision is made that Grumbines Island should be closed, these are the things that need to be done.
First.
Precisely, first, if you're going to do that. We also had an additional project that we looked at in this study because when we went back and looked at the work that Kimley Horn had done, they were looking at our 2050 model at the time And it included a project which is called the Willie Street Connector. And basically that is connecting Willie Street to Stewartstown Road across the WVU farm. And we realized when they were evaluating the closure of Grumbine's Island, they were evaluating that with that connector being in place. And so we wanted to evaluate what would happen with the traffic in downtown if that project were in place and if Grumbine's Island were closed. So we also looked at that. We used the regional travel demand model for that because it was outside of the scope of the downtown study. So we've tried to take a very comprehensive look at all the factors that we thought might impact traffic in downtown in doing this. The ultimate recommendation was that all of the projects, the access management of Beechhurst Avenue, the installation of a roundabout at 8th Street and Beechhurst would be necessary, and also a reconstruction of the Pleasant Street, I believe it's University Avenue at that point, intersection at the bridge would all need to be done prior to the closure of Grumbine's Island. And we found that the Willie Street Connector would have a very positive impact of diverting some traffic that is utilizing downtown, not for purposes downtown, basically pass-through traffic, from coming into downtown and congesting the corridor. So those are the recommendations out of the study. If we move forward with that, we've got some pretty detailed numbers. I will also note, as I have at the other committees, my successor will probably need to go out and create or have created a whole new regional travel demand model. The current model originated with my predecessor, and I've been here 17 years. We have continually updated it, gotten everything together, but there is no certainty that we've, even with our best efforts, captured all the land use changes and so forth that have taken place. Plus, we need to evaluate what has happened with people working at home, those sorts of issues. We know the models have been impacted by changes that WVU has made in how students attend classes and those sorts of things. But these are the good results that we've gotten from that modeling, but I would recommend in the future the creation of a new model that is more detailed than what we have now. But we got good results from this study for it, but that's just a heads up for the policy board that that's something that should be looked at in the near future. But the TTAC and the CAC have both reviewed the recommendations for this study and recommended that the policy board accept these recommendations as guidance if the closure of Grumbine's Island moves forward.
And really, I think another significant part of that is, you and your staff and Jing, I think you ran a lot of the numbers on the study that
Yep.
Kimberly Horn did,
Right.
and that now is an ownership of the MPO, and
Right.
it's a great example of how that wasn't a one-time study that just sits on a shelf, that you can look at alternative things with it.
And we got a very useful model that can be updated to model what happens with downtown traffic as we move forward. And our staff is very capable in working with that. So that's just another tool in the toolbox for the MPO.
So we're seeking acceptance of the recommendations?
I had a quick question on
Okay.
this one. The two projects that need to happen prior to the Grumbine's Island project, they're tier 1, are they funded as well?
They are the ones that are currently tier 1.
It's the signal timing optimization and the Snyder Street.
We will be
reline.
seeking funding for that.
Okay,
Right now, they're just tier 1 projects.
okay.
At what point do we make the decision about Grumbine's Island?
I believe that's going to have to be a community consensus issue, and it's going to work with the state on that. And because these are state maintained roads, so it's going to have to be, and I think Actually, Mr. Carr's presentation on the STIP will give us a better roadmap of how to get that to happen and how it'll work. I believe there's some exciting changes coming to the STIP process, and it will present more opportunities to get these projects funded. So that's,
We like that.
yes. It's one of the things is like, darn, I'm retiring, and all of a sudden they're going to listen.
Another
to me.
tool.
Yes, another tool. But that's how it's going to have to work. And so I think look at Mr. Carr's presentation, and he'll give us some ideas.
Sure, you set me up on a high bar. But I will say though, I mean, like with many projects, not just in this area, in every community, not just in West Virginia, but everywhere, is, you guys know it better than anybody, community consensus. You know, we want to try to do what, you know, is obviously good, sound engineering judgment, you know, safety, traffic, all of that, but at the same time, I can tell you that, you know, my superiors don't like getting a lot of emails and phone calls with petitions and everything else, with everybody trying to fight it, you know, with whatever project it may be. And, you know, we've always tried to have our the MPOs say, hey, you know, rally the troops, say, hey, this is the best for the region. And you guys have to band together. You know, if out of this board, 8 of you love the idea, but 4 of you don't, you know, it's hard to push these things through. So community consensus is a huge deal. I can speak here very recently. There was a significant project down in my neck of the woods that for 2+ years it was going along smoothly, and all of a sudden about 2 or 3 key people got involved and the whole project got killed. So you got to have community consensus. That almost really it comes before getting it financially, you know, paid for, you know, getting the funds for it. It truly is.
It is much easier to get funds if you've got the whole community behind you.
Yeah, I see it as an opportunity. I think it's an opportunity for this organization, this group, to you know, really kind of set the tone and go through the processes necessary, involving the right people and having that input and getting that, you know, out on the table ahead of time. And so your successors has a good challenge sitting in front of them, and as staff does as well. So, but I'm confident, and you know, I think we've shown some very much improvement on that front over the last few years, and I look forward to the journey. We now have facts to go along with it too, which is helpful.
I think it's important, Ron and Patty, I remember way back when the Northern Outlet,
Yeah.
and it was, nobody was speaking with one voice. This was prior to the MPO, but, and the state people would tell us, we don't know what you people want, because everybody was going to Charleston, and like Brian was saying, so many different conflict of ideas on it. They said, just one voice. So we started that years ago, and we speak with one voice, and it might be 8-4, but if I'm one of the 4, if it's 8-4, I'm going to jump right on with the 8. Once it passes, that's our project, is with one voice. We have to keep that in mind.
Excellent. Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right.
Bill, you need a motion? on
Need a
this?
motion.
I would so move.
Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor of accepting these recommendations, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. All right, we have accepted them and look forward to the next stage of that project process. All right, next on the agenda is the community garden program.
Well, yeah, and our famous community garden program is wrapping up. We have provided you an additional memo, in addition to the one that was originally emailed to you that showed that we had a balance of a little over $1,000. We got invoices, so we're very happy. We got invoices literally today that we are planning to pay, and we are now down to having $138.40 left over in the community garden project after I pay invoices for the 30th.
Can we give away seeds at the farmer's market, or
Well-
what are we gonna do with that?
Well,
Seed money for someone for next year?
Seed money, huh?
Well,
Literally.
well, that could be an option, but we were just recommending that the MPO absorb the $138 as part of paying for the
Administration.
for the administrative expenses of the project, which I think $138.40 for administration is pretty cheap. So,
Yes.
Brian says I went to
I'm not concerned
138.
with that, but
I really don't know, because, and I say that, and it's funny, you know, anybody that, you know, does their taxes and whatnot, when it comes down to finances, a penny is a penny, to somebody. And if I'm not mistaken, this particular project in and of itself has, for us internally, for the DOH, it's got a specific charge number that these invoices are getting paid out of. So it's not like we can just take that $138 and slide it over to the MPO. I don't think, either you find, I think at the end of the day, either you find something to spend $138 in, or we close everything out and that $138 goes back into the DOH coffers.
this money has already been fronted us. We are not seeking reimbursement for this money. We already have the money.
Okay.
So we would just absorb it for administrative expenses and put that. Jackie is going to do a closeout report to the MPO policy board at the August meeting. And we'll just say it was the cost of doing the report, or, you know.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I wasn't aware that, you know, you just got a, you know, kind of an upfront check for the whole thing.
We
so
got
to
an
speak.
upfront check for the whole thing, so we have not been seeking reimbursement.
Yeah, honestly, that's not normally how things are done, but these are abnormal times.
Well,
This was something unique, and, you know, again, I don't have any objections to it. You know, we're finding a lot of unique strategies to pay for things these days, which, testing my blood pressure, let's just say that.
So
Well,
you'll just invoice the grant, just like.
I'm sorry?
You'll just invoice the grant for
Yeah, we'll just
administrative costs.
we'll
It'll be
invoice
on-
the grant for.
It'll all balance out.
It'll
Yeah.
all balance out. And we would spend more time and money and paperwork in trying to get it back or something than.
Let me ask you this question, if I may. Is there a requirement or anything of a final report submitted to the DOH for the completion of this for closeout?
The way the grant was written was that it was at the discretion of the policy board. The policy board was to receive reports on it, which we were going to provide FHWA and DOH.
Okay.
So, and Jackie will have that report in August. We
Lots of
hope
pretty
with,
pictures of all the flowers and everything going on
Precisely.
out there.
No, that's prudent though, because as you said, this is kind of a novel area. It's
Yeah.
smart to
Yeah.
do a report.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure as we move forward, the final determination of the 138.40 will be accordance to approval from the state and federal
Right.
people involved, so.
If there's an issue, we certainly could purchase seeds and distribute them to these people.
Yeah, the key is that we approved tonight the closing of that program. And I want to thank Jackie. I know this has been your project all along, and you found out how hard it is to give money away sometimes, right?
When there's red tape involved, it is extremely hard to give money away.
I was shocked.
But the beauty of it is we had four projects,
Four gardens.
4 gardens, and it was all spurred out of the interest of particularly losing one garden. So you've increased community gardening in the community, and what a wonderful idea, and I think looks like to me the money was well spent. So we need a recommendation or approval of the recommendation to close the account and deal with the remaining funds in accordance to the rules.
Move to absorb into the account to close the project.
Second.
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 All right, it's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, carried. Be interesting to hear the outcome in the August report. So look forward to that. All right, so next on the agenda, Mr. Carr is going to give us a TIP presentation. Brian?
Slight correction, that's an STIP.
STIP, okay.
Well,
STP.
While she's passing out, I actually have handouts. It's the same presentation that you're gonna see up here on the board. I don't know if I speak loud enough that I need to drag this thing around with me or not, but, you know, I came in here and while she's passing these out, I was thinking, you know, it's Bill's last meeting, let's see if I can drag this thing on to about 8:30, but then I hear everybody's got places to be. It's been a long 3 days for me. Just came back from Baltimore late last night. It took a 6-hour drive because of all the weather and accidents. I want to get out of here too, so I took a 90-page presentation and put it down to, I think, about 22. No, really, it's, I'm going to get through this thing as quickly as possible. Every year, okay, Statewide Transportation Improvement Program. That is our STIP. Quick agenda through the slides, introduction of STIP, IJIP versus the FAST Act. The last STIP, the 23 to 26 STIP analysis, kind of where we spent all of our money. Federal funding categories, there's a whole host of them, and again, I'm not going to read everything that's on every one of these screens, so I'm going to fly through this as quickly as I can. I've been able to get it under 15 minutes, so let's see if I can beat that record today. The consideration of the next STIP and any closing comments here real quick. So the STIP, as everybody should be aware, it is a document that the state is required to do. It's essentially a 4-year financially constrained STIP that the state has to maintain. We generally will do a 6-year STIP. The outer 2 years is unconstrained. It's, you know, think of it like this, your all STIP. You know, you got things in there that's paid for, and then your long-range plan. There's things in there that you kind of got paid for, and you're kind of working on things that aren't yet paid for. So this is all part of the, you know, the federal rules and regulation. It's developed in cooperation with MPOs, public transit providers, regional transportation planning organizations, and this is one of the, it's kind of like an outreach. I'm going to be doing this for all the MPOs. It's kind of like the first step in getting, you know, sharing what we're doing and trying to get feedback somewhere along the way. This is right now, I think, the 5th one. We got, you know, a couple more here still to come, but you know, we're also going to be presenting at the planning conference. That's probably going to be even a little more in depth than what I'm going to talk about. And quite frankly, this is a presentation that others have made that I have to present. So, you know, I'm kind of, I fly through a lot of this. Sorry, next slide, please. Okay. STIP is, again, it's a statewide, it's a 4-year STIP. Kind of look at the circle over here. We've got, you know, essentially, you know, the pie chart here. We start off, we establish vision, goals, measures, and needs. We move into assess the trade-offs between strategies and programs. The best way I can kind of explain that to a large degree is, you know, we have a number of programs, bridge program, pavement program, localized mobility, regional mobility, all these different types of things. So it always comes down to the question, where do you want to spend your money? And a lot of this kind gets tied into performance measures. So, you know, in general, we might sit here and say, hey, we put $300 million in the bridges, $200 million in the pavement, and, you know, for our performance measures, it's like, hey, your bridges are failing, your percentage of good bridges is not high enough. Oh, now we got to put $350 million in the bridges, $150 million in the paving. We had to steal the money from somewhere. That's just a general example. So we got a number of categories, but so we have to assess all the trade-offs. We get into the yellow piece of the pie, formulate and evaluate policy, strategies, and investments. Again, people hire a pay grade higher than mine. You know, they're evaluating not just things with an MPO, but a statewide, you know, what's the benefit, you know, for the entire state with various projects. Then we apply all this, practical design, prioritize, and implement, just like any other, you know, typical project. And then we get to the last piece of the pie, monitor performance, results, and outcome. You guys have probably heard PM1, PM2, PM3. Those are your performance measures, safety measures, bridge conditions, pavement conditions, travel time reliability, truck travel, all those different things, they all fall in one of those three particular priorities, or, performance measures. Based on how those performance measures, kind of come about, we have to readjust our strategy, so we start the whole thing all over again. Why now? Our current STIP is expiring at the end of September this year, so we have to have a new STIP in place approved by FHWA as well as FTA by September 30th, or we can't spend any federal money. So that's why it's exceptionally important for us to get this STIP put out. I personally think we're a couple of weeks behind where I feel comfortable being. However, it is what it is, but we are going to get this thing accomplished. Otherwise, a lot of people are not going to be happy. So yeah, that's really the how, the why now. STIP operating procedures, notice that we intend to update every couple of years. I'll be the first to admit that it was not exactly, the last set of STIP operating procedures. Some things didn't quite work out as well as I think all of us would have liked. New people in charge, we're hoping that gets a little bit better too. But the STIP operating procedures going hand in hand with the STIP. Kind of helps you outline, everything what's an amendment, how you, start trying to get projects prioritized and in the system and flowing. We talk about, some of the, downtown micro simulation study, trying to get, hey, how are we going to get these projects, in there? How are we going to get them funded? Talk about that just here and a little bit later, but all of these things, it's a learning process. We keep going. We have, a lot of different plans and strategies that all fall into this. We got the bridge management system, we got the pavement management system, we got the transportation asset called TAMP. We got all these different plans, and they all help funnel into the priorities that we need. Again, all these kind of come back to our performance measures, how are our bridges, how are our pavement, how's our mobility, how all these different things that are out there. So, we take all that and we're trying to help develop our STIP. Next slide, please. These are the major programs. Nothing's really changed really from our last STIP. Bridge program, pavement. We got bridge program, pavement program, traffic, localized mobility. Think of that as more of a, trying to put maybe a center turn lane, right turn lane. Maybe there's a small connection. From, for example, maybe you're trying to improve, Beechhurst Avenue from 8th Street to 6th Street or something like that. That's kind of localized mobility mentality. Traffic programs is often signalization, signing, lighting, striping, all those types of things, safety improvements. We got other things, community development and connectivity program. Community development is generally a lot of your sidewalks, recreational trails, those types of things. Planning and workforce development, that's what we are, we're all that. Regional mobility program, that's probably maybe the third biggest funding, that we spend a lot of money on. Regional mobility theoretically is, you're trying to connect to, major population hubs. Now granted in West Virginia, we don't have a lot of major, population hubs, but you can think of it as trying to connect Morgantown to Fairmont. Even Morgantown over to Route 2, over to the Ohio River, the I-68 extension type of thing. That would be regional mobility, quarter H, those types of things, regional mobility. Think tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. Right now, a lot of that money is going to quarter H. We've got a handful of regional mobility projects that have been ongoing since even before I started with the Highway Department back in 1992. Quarter H started in 1965, still working on that. So, tell you, some of these bigger projects takes a long time to happen. And of course, we have a transit program. Transit obviously is not talked about enough, but it is part of the STIP as a whole, and that's why we have FHWA and FTA have to approve a plan. Next slide, please. I kind of rattle off pretty much what most of these programs are. I'm not going to read all of them again. You can kind of see, again, what the descriptions of each one of those are in your handouts. And for those that's not here to get one, Bill has, forwarded this presentation to him, so he's going to make sure that everybody on the TAC, everybody on the policy board, I can see he's directing somebody else to do that, so I'm going to make sure everybody has a copy of the presentation, so you don't have to memorize this, there's no quiz. But I kind of went through a lot of what those things already are. So go ahead and move to the next one. Pretty much again, it's the 8 major programs and kind of what they're involved in. Okay. I can move through some of these slides pretty quick. IJA versus FAST Act. We're currently in IJA. Prior to that was the FAST Act, from 2016 to 2020. What's interesting now is I'm sure most people are probably aware or should be aware where the federal transportation bill also ends September 30th of 2026. At this point in time, nobody truly knows what's going to happen next. A lot of things happening on the federal level. Got an election, it's an election year, even though it's an off-cycle election year. So there's a lot of things that's unknown right now. Don't know where the next federal transportation bill is going to go, what it's going to mean, how much money it's going to be, none of that at this point. Here's a big one that the FAST Act allocated about $305 billion, focusing on surface transportation, while IJA allocated $1.2 trillion, included creating new federal programs and focused on bridges, electric vehicle, rail, and other programs of carbon reduction. We see kind of had an explosion of a lot of different types of funding opportunities. Bill mentioned the Point Marion Road, 100% federal funded using carbon reduction program funds. Didn't exist until IJA. Have no idea if that's going to continue on in the next transportation bill. But you got it, let's use them before they go away. You can see some of the FAST Act versus IJA, the difference, how much money was available. Purple is the FAST Act, the green is IJA, the red is the difference. So you can see in the difference in millions, $360 million more for the difference in IJA for year 1, year 2 was another $411 million, year 3 was $366. Most recent data we have available, we're still 25, so calculated 26 we're still in. So yeah, there's a whole lot more money. Now, a whole lot more federal money is great. One thing you got to remember is we still have to match that with state dollars. Our state dollars didn't exactly go through the roof in the last couple of years. We had the GO bonds that came out, Roads to Prosperity. A lot of that money, pretty much all that money is either gone or spoken for at this point. So it's not like there's more state dollars that we can keep matching. So to my knowledge, we have never lost out on a federal dollar because we didn't have enough state dollars to match it. So I fully expect that to continue. Okay. So it's great that we had a whole lot more money to spend. Some more just data numbers. I just set aside $27.5 billion nationally for bridge funding formula. West Virginia received $548 million over the lifespan of IJA. I was going to say, we're still in 2026, but yeah, you can see what we've had, even on off-system bridges, we spent about $20 million. But that's a lot of money on bridges. And we're still a long ways from all of our bridges being where they want to go. If you travel down I-79, between here and Clarksburg, you see a whole lot of bridges under construction. So it's a good thing, but a lot of money means a lot of projects and some traffic headaches along the way. The 23 to 28 STIP obligation review, you can just kind of see the amount of money, $1.4 billion was the bridge, $775 million to pavement, $485 million to other traffic-related projects, $147 million in community development, $560 million to regional mobility, and $180 million to localized projects. So again, you can see our 3 biggest ones is pavement, bridge, pavement, and regional mobility. That's honestly, I think what most people would expect. Just another graphic that kind of shows, how those respective the various years and the programs and the bottom, the bridge, pavement, traffic, community development, regional mobility. One thing that always sticks out is, you look at regional mobility, you see that spike there in 2022. It just so happened that a whole lot of regional mobility projects were obligated. The funds were authorized in that year, so you get a spike in that one particular year. But some of the others are pretty consistent: planning, localized mobility, community development. Not a huge, whole lot of flexibility. fluctuation with those. But when regional mobility takes a big hit, somebody else has to lose. You know, you can kind of see bridges and pavement were down that first year. A lot of that went to regional mobility. So again, it's trade-offs. What are you looking to try to do with the money that you got? Federal funding categories, I'm not going to rattle off each and every one of these. You probably have heard and seen them. I think a lot of them are listed in your all's tip, a lot of the MPO's tips. HSIP is a big one with Highway Safety Improvement Funds, CRP, CMAC, again, you know, it's a great program. The biggest ones are probably the NHPP and STBG. Those are probably the two biggest ones that we generally have here in the Highway Department with the most money in it by and large. Most flexibility, you can use the money in a lot of different places. But you can see there's a lot of others, you know, NEVI, you know, others, you know, congressional directed spending money, transportation alternatives, which is community development, and so on and so forth. So, important consideration for the next step, current funding. Again, I've kind of rattled off. I speak a lot of times 5 slides before we actually even get there. So, you know, the current IJA is expiring, new authorization bill coming out. We anticipate some funding level changes, have no idea what they might be. Fiscal constraint is the key element of the STIP. We have to be fiscally constrained. We just can't put every project that's known to man to be put in there. Yeah, those are the important considerations. You know, I've kind of babbled on about them throughout. So this slide here, that QR code, everybody probably use the QR code. I know I don't particularly like it myself, but it's a good way to quickly get access. QR code takes you straight to a comments page, question type page on the DOT website. You can go there, take you right there. Your STIP website, the transportation, you know, that's a current STIP 23 to 28. You can go that way and also, you know, get right back. It takes you eventually to the same page to provide comments, thoughts, opinions, those kinds of things. Speaking of, there will be other opportunities. We are planning on having 3 public meetings. This is not really a public meeting. This is a stakeholder, you know, information type thing. Want to make sure you guys are aware of what's going on. Again, talking to all the MPOs. So we're going to have, I believe, 3 public meetings, you know, that's going to be held. One here in the northern part of the state, which I know we're working with Bill to try to get a location. I hope you and Brett have communicated with that. I keep getting asked, hey, has it been finalized? It's been finalized yet? So it's in the last 3 days since I've been away from the world. I don't know, but
well, just as an FYI, I did reply to your email, and we had worked with Jeremy Evans with WVU.
Okay.
And I had told Brett and emailed him that the dates that you all had are open for Mountaineer Station.
Yeah.
And so I have not heard anything more.
Wow.
So the public meeting on the STIP will be at Mountaineer Station, at least from the arrangements we've made so far. I also want to mention, completely unrelated, the state bike plan. We'll have a public meeting here in town, and I believe it's going to be at the Met. And we will also be doing a stakeholders or public involvement meeting for the complete street study at the same time.
Yeah, so we're doubling up on a lot of things. Our consultants happen to be in town for the planning conference, so that's, you know, not having to fly them in and up a different day and everything else. So we got the planning conference Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We got a public meeting Tuesday night on the bike ped as well as the Greenbelt. Then I think on Thursday, we're actually going back over to the Northern Panhandle and doing another bike ped presentation, you know, and everything up there. So lots happening here in the next 6 weeks. So anyway, that's a great place to get, you know, provide some thoughts and comments, you know, and spread the word. So got a couple more slides. I'm going to really fly through these. Looking forward, how do we go? Where are we going from here? Again, a lot of words on here, a lot of things. What it all boils down to is simply this. Everybody's been asking since I've been working with an MPO, how do we get a project into the pipeline? It's not easy, and I don't think whatever methodology you ever put out there will not be easy. However, we got a consultant on board that's working on trying to develop a prioritization tool. So, you know, for example, you know, I'm just making something up, we got 1,000 projects in the hopper, and somebody, hey, what about this one? Well, you put in key data for key information, and it comes out, and you're number 912. Call us back in 5 years. Or it comes out and says, hey, you're number 17. Oh, this is something we got to get to. So we're trying to, to some level, compare apples to apples, and trying to develop this. That's not to say it's the only tool that will be used. There's a lot of things that have to be taken in that, I don't care what kind of, technology you're trying to apply, there's a lot of other external forces that you got to, whether it be economic development, safety, you're trying to, some of those things can feed into this, some of it's going to be a little bit tricky. The other aspect of it all is, you can sit here and say, hey, the Morgantown area and the Eastern Panhandle are the only two parts growing. We need. Absolutely. But we can't leave Wirt County out. We can't leave Logan County out. We can't leave other counties out without, they have to get stuff too. They have issues as well. So maybe not as, as severe, but, you gotta spread it around. I can tell you there's probably every member of the legislature saying, what about me? What about my constituents? So it's going to be tricky, but we're trying to develop that prioritization tool so that, it can help decision makers and say, hey, when you plug all this information in, it's probably going to get categorized a little bit, whether it's, again, we got bridge management system, pavement management system, we got all these different things, and they all got to tie back together. And so if I ever had to come back in front of you guys and say, hey, why can't this project get put into this tip? I got something to hang my hat on, at least a little bit, to explain why it is or it isn't. So that's kind of moving forward. That's the big picture. I kind of probably babbled on with a lot of these other slides. Again, there's just so much that goes into trying to select projects. There's so many different plans and so many different strategies. Strategic Highway Safety Plan, vulnerable road users, everybody's seen all those. Statewide freight plan, freight's obviously a big issue. Statewide rail plan, MPO plans, bike ped plans. So you get all these different plans, that you're trying to mesh it all together to come up with a reasonable explanation why you can or cannot do something. And of course, I've always said, and a lot of things in life, timing is everything. We got a STIP that's due. Federal transportation bill is going to be changing. So as soon as we finish our STIP, it's probably going to have massive changes based on whatever the federal transportation bill comes. Whether that comes 6 months later, whether it comes on October 1st or 2026 or sometime in 27 or who knows when. We've dealt with continuing resolutions and stuff in the past. Generally when that happens, you kind of keep the same level of funding, but some of the other funding mechanisms, USDOT grants, those types of things, they eventually kind of, there's no more money left to fund those. So it's going to be tricky. So we got all those different types of things. We got our TAMP, that's a new TAMP coming out, I think in early 2027. We're going to be starting in the middle of 2027 a new, probably a long-range transportation plan. So we got a lot of plans that, coming online, just all in different times. So we got to be able to quickly move and pivot. So system condition, and what I've seen, and this pretty much is the last slide, every MPO, when you probably have even done your long-range transportation plans, to some degree, you have these same 5 goals. It may be worded a little bit different because your consultant had a turn of phrase as to how they wanted to put things. System condition, efficiency, fiscal sustainability, safety and security for all users, including bike ped, transit, everything else. Economic vitality, freight movement, multimodal mobility, reliability, accessibility, and livable and health communities. So all those are pretty much the same types of goals. Every MPO I've ever, been working around throughout this state anyway, pretty much the same. Sometimes they break it out into 6 or 7, but it all pretty much says the same thing. Say we're going to have our same type of situation when we get all together. So that is the STIP update, kind of where we are. Public meetings are going to be coming at the end of June. So look for those announcements. I'm sure once everything gets finalized, Bill will certainly let everybody here know, or maybe he's ready to delegate to others. I'm not sure. So I think that's my last slide.
Yeah, I think just
Yeah, so, any thoughts, any questions at this point in time? I know there's a lot of information, a lot of, you know, stuff that you want, a lot of words on the screens and a lot of words in there. So, you know, sometimes, you know, maybe next week something pops in your head, always feel free to give me a call, give me an email, something, hey, explain this. But planning conference, this is gonna be brought up again, probably even in more detail. Our consultant that's gonna be doing this is probably gonna be talking a lot more about the prioritization, you know, methodologies that's gonna be coming about. Probably the same thing also in our public meetings that we're gonna have. So there's probably gonna be a little bit better description of some of that, but, you know, tip 101 is what I like to call with, I've been in the DOH too long to kind of know a lot about, you know, what the tip is. But prioritization tools, I think this is like the third or the fourth time in 30 years that we've tried to develop a prioritization tool. Some work better than others, some have kind of disappeared, but we're trying again. You know, because we hear you all, we want to make sure, hey, how do we get projects in the pipeline? And we're hoping that this tool will help us do that. Any thoughts?
I would just like to make a comment that when I interviewed for this position, I asked the state representative, how do you get a project in the TIP? And he could not respond. 17 years later, I just heard the state representative say, I can't tell you how to get a project in the TIP. So,
Not with a step 1, 2, 3, 4 process, absolutely, no.
but I also want to say, everything I've heard about the process and the prioritization tool that Brian mentioned has been good and should clarify the process, and that's why I was.
The process always has been a little muddy, but as you can tell, we've always been able to get projects in. You know, a lot of them that come about, whether it's paving a road or fixing a bridge, you know, oftentimes, you know, those are viewed or thought of more as maintenance. This isn't a maintenance body, this is a planning body. So a lot of those projects don't typically get brought up before this, other than, you know, hey, it's mentioned in the, you know, when we have our, you know, the tip and stuff, all that information that's provided. Yeah, the tough part is always how do we get a Beechwood Avenue, how do we get a Van Forest, you know, Greenback and some of those. We've had a few. Maybe not as many as anybody would like, but, you know, as you can see, when they're 20, 30, $40 million. So Morgantown has gotten more, I think, than others, but again, you guys are growing. It makes sense. And I don't see that changing. I see things still happening here, you know, a lot of good things. You know, we got a new bridge coming, we got exit 155, we got Harmony Grove, you know, the thought of the expansion of I-79 from 68 all the way up through 155. I mean, there's, you know, a lot of big projects, you know, still on the horizon. And, you know, when you start talking money, you know, these are 50, 60, $70 million, they become regionally significant. Somebody else is not getting a project because something's happening with an $80 million. That's just not here, that's everywhere. So it's a balancing act. But my final thoughts is, Bill, I want to thank you for being a thorn in my side for the last 14 years that I've been doing this. Good job. And I will say to this board, and I've said it to you guys, a lot of different faces on this board, you know, through the years. But he's the type of person you guys want fighting for you. It's not a fun job when he's trying to battle the will of you and the will of the state, and he and I oftentimes are in the middle. Yeah, I got my bosses trying to do things too, but he's the type of person you want fighting for you. I've dealt with a lot of MPO reps over the years. There are some that hardly speak at all, and there are some that fight for you, and that's what he is.
Now you're telling us that he's leaving.
Offering more money. Anyway.
Thank you for those kind words. I really appreciate it. And Brian, you've been a joy to work with. And we don't always agree, but that's part of the job. That's right. And we can agree to disagree and keep going. So.
And one of these days, we're actually going to, I think 3 times now, we cannot get together for a golf match, and it's all been my fault. I don't have enough help back in Charleston, but we're going to get there.
Come up Monday before the conference. I'll figure that out.
There's a challenge.
I did have one real minor update for you that I did leave off the report. Brian mentioned the vulnerable road user study. We have 2 quarters for vulnerable road user improvements that have been identified as very high priority by the state. And it's my understanding they've selected a consultant and are in the process of signing a contract for the studies of those 2 corridors. One is the Chestnut Ridge corridor that the MPO, we actually also did a pedestrian study on that, 705. And the other is the Mineral Avenue area of West Virginia 7. So those projects, studies should be kicking off relatively soon. Also, we had a meeting, and Mayor Lucci and is aware of it. There will be a kickoff for the RAISE grant for Westover coming up. I don't know when that's scheduled, but that is in process. So I wanted to bring that up as well as other good news. So, thanks.
Fantastic. Well, Brian, thank you so much. I know this is a big journey that you all have been on to create this, but I think from a local perspective, the more defined process we can have, the better, and the better we need to be prepared to fill those numbers in that help us in our ratings from that perspective. And so I think as a group we look forward to that, and you know, I think getting it all done in the time frame you have to get it done. Good luck.
I keep trying to tell Bill he needed to work for about another year and a half, because I think that's when I'm getting out of the rat race too. But, you know, I'm sorry I couldn't get him to stay, so.
Yep, so are we. So, all right, well, thanks so much. I don't think we need to make any action on that. And I guess in other business, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into closed session for human resources purposes.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved in second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we will not be coming out on voting on anything for those who may be watching online, but we will go in the back room here. We may in this.
Before we go, can we take this moment to express if we have any personal appreciation?
Absolutely.
Because this is the second May in a row where we've had a bill retire, so.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to make sure there's no
The bills.
other bills on.
Where'd all the bills go?
So this will be the second bill. I just wanted to say that I appreciated everything from the first time I was appointed here, when you took me aside and sat down with me and explained to me what an MPO is, how it started, the history to how it even got here. Your ability to be able to communicate with all these different personalities. And I think that our goals typically as people are to leave things better than how we found them. And that speaks to your character and your leadership with the people that you've had working for you and the quality of an MPO that you've been able to make here the last 17 years. So thank you.
Very good.
I just want to say, I've certainly, unless you, go.
Thank you for everything you've done to help me, that's for sure.
Of course, we've been on it since the beginning. He's the only second director, and I've served a couple times as chairman, and you just helped me along immensely. I mean, for me, it was easy, because I'd have an issue, I'd say, Bill, handle this, and he always took the reins and went with us. I appreciate all your help and guidance when I had my 2 terms. Thank you.
Bill, it's been quite a journey. We really appreciate the partnership that you've had with public transit and Mountain Line, and helping us with all the projects and getting everything moving. So a lot of guidance going on there, and we appreciate that. And just wanted to say thank you.
I really appreciate all the balancing that you can do between cities and county, between modes of transportation. We won't even get into which ones I kind of have a soft spot for, which everyone knows. But it is tricky to live in the northern part of this particular state with some of the busiest roads in the state, and having groups that have really high expectations and trying to figure out how to balance it all without just having numerous meltdowns of various kinds from anybody from the state or the local area. And we certainly have had different ways of achieving some of our goals, like when we had the Roads to Prosperity or other it has not just been a straight journey. It has had lots of zigs and zags. And I do appreciate everyone who works hard on speaking as one voice, and I think that's a really good takeaway from your years. And it's not that we have always achieved that one voice, because sometimes the very people, not you, who talk about it feel like it doesn't really apply to them. So including myself, if I ever get the chance. So I think that we need to continue down that path wherever we can with this idea of one voice. And sometimes we don't agree, and we just have to kind of suck it up and keep moving forward. So thank you.
Well, I'll ditto already what everyone said, but for the elected officials in the room, you know how difficult it is to navigate among, you know, other entities or other representatives from whether it be WVU or, you know, Mountain Line. And you've kept us pretty level-headed. I think we've accomplished a lot. I've enjoyed my time on the MPO, but like Mike said, 3 of us have been here forever. And thank you for a job well done. I miss you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep, and I think one of the key things that probably people don't realize or don't understand, when we started out, I think we put the director note closet somewhere in the back. We moved up to the airport and you know, moved all around. But I think the stability, how you've grown the organization, and literally now this community can say, hey, I can go to the MPO office and have a conversation, and I'm part of the planning process, and I'm part of this, and I'm part of that, and just working with the committees, you know, and having, and probably the biggest asset has been the public engagement, that you have made that a very high priority. And so I think, you know, when you look back on your career, you can literally say, hey, I've built that organization to where it is. And I think not just us, but the entire community is appreciative of that, because, you know, that did, when we started out, that didn't exist. And now, you know, all the public involvement, I mean, whether it be a public garden or, you know, STIP planning or whatever, you know, I think that goes unnoticed, and it's very much appreciated. And really, I mean, you're leaving a great legacy with this organization and on the community, and it's very much appreciated. So.
Thank you all very much. It's been a privilege and an honor to work with you. And your words tell me I've achieved a lot of my goals. You're never perfect, but it means a lot. Yes.
I just appreciated that your door was always open, and I wish you good luck, but I still wish your Virginia Tech Hokies the worst of luck.
Well, he's at least wearing the right colors.
Yeah, I'm wearing the right colors. Well, we'll see how they do in the ACC tournament tomorrow. They're playing Carolina. So.
Yep.
We got to see what WVU does tonight.
We've got short time.
I will say something that you commented on. The MPO and Bill is the general public. This is the closest voice they have to the state.
Yep.
They can complain about roads or whatever, but until this all came together, who did they complain to? They just talked to their friends. Now, not that we want complaints, but they also have, you know, their ideas of what could happen. But this is the closest thing they get to a direct call.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And the only forum where we're all together.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jane.
I really speak. And 13 years ago, when I bring my portfolio, try to find an intern at the county planning office. Bill picked up my portfolio, called me, said, some stuff is interesting to the MPO, interesting, do you want to do some project with the MPO? And we start from there. And Bill helped me with my green card process, even I rejected, got denied for the first time. Bill still have patience to go with me the process. It's painful, but much less painful than now. But yes, I really appreciate it. And I know Bill, we counted the time. I know Bill even longer than I know my daughter, 9 years longer. Thank you so much. You have been my mentor. You've been very fair, very, I would say, highest integrity I never see in the planning profession. Thank you so much.
We'll see if we can solve that in the last month. No, thank you, Jane. You've done good work with us, and we appreciate it. So, thank you, everybody. I greatly appreciate it.
Much well-deserved comments from everybody, and I just want to thank you for deciding to retire during my term as chair. I appreciate all the extra work, and you're a hard man to replace, my friend, so good luck to you in your future endeavors. And don't beat me in golf. Okay, we have a motion, we vote. We're going to go into closed session, so we'll retire to the other room, so those of you who want to stick around, you may. So, but we'll be back out to close the meeting after closed session.
There it is. I want something.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
Motion to come out of executive session.
So moved, or second.
Moved in second. All those in favor?
Move to adjourn.
Aye.
All right, move to adjourn.
Second.
Yeah.
All right, we're adjourned.